Welcome to Quinn's Recaps.
The series commences with a young woman attempting to hawk a vintage radio. Upon inspection, the merchant is flabbergasted to find it is actually a sophisticated surveillance apparatus. Even more unsettling, the owner herself remains utterly oblivious to its true nature. Simultaneously, elsewhere in the city, another young woman sits isolated in a lounge when a man approaches to deliver a cryptic phrase. Her reaction is peculiar. "Aren't I supposed to provide the password?" It quickly transpires that these two women are associates, and one is likely an intelligence agent. The Chronicle resumes in 1967, following Chris and Robert as they trek toward a clandestine operation. While their official credentials place them at the American Embassy, they are, in fact, CIA operatives. Chris takes a seat beside a street-side informant, an asset whose cover has been compromised by Soviet intelligence. In a hushed tone, Chris assures the man that he will orchestrate an extraction to relocate him and his family safely to Finland. Meanwhile, Robert stays at a distance, carefully monitoring the surroundings in case anything feels off. Suddenly, a man passing by with a dog casually remarks, "Cold weather, isn't it?" before continuing on his way. Robert immediately understands the coded warning and calls out to Chris to move fast. They rush toward the car, trying to put as much distance as possible between the asset and those tracking them. Moments later, two cars appear behind them, opening fire with pistols. When they finally manage to escape, they make a devastating discovery. The asset has been killed by a stray bullet. As a result, the mission completely falls apart. At the same time, B, Chris's wife, is standing in a market arguing with a vendor. She explains that she bought a carton of eggs that was supposed to contain 6, but when she opened it, she found only 5, 2 of them broken. The vendor pretends not to understand her at all, dismissing her Russian as meaningless. Then, Twyla, Robert's wife, happens to pass by. Seeing the argument, she steps in and explains that politeness rarely works here. To be taken seriously, B needs to raise her voice and assert control. The moment she does, the vendor immediately refunds her money without hesitation. B is surprised that Twyla recognizes her, especially since this is their first meeting, and Twyla has only been in Moscow for 2 days. Twyla explains that the embassy wives have already been talking about her, intrigued by her education and her work as a secretary at the embassy. Curious, B asks if Twyla plans to attend the Christmas party at the embassy that evening. Twyla admits she is searching for any excuse to avoid it, clearly exhausted by her life and the nature of her husband's job. That night, Chris returns home to find B baking a cake for the Christmas party. Still, her frustration is obvious. She had always wanted to work in a field related to her studies and feel that she was building a future of her own. Chris tries to reassure her, reminding her of their agreement. She would support him for a few years while he established his career. Then he would step back while she pursued her professional life. Gradually, she calms down. Elsewhere, Robert arrives home to find Twyla upset as well. She is tired of being moved from one country to another and desperately wants to avoid the party. Robert insists she attend in his place, explaining that he has an assignment that night. Twyla finally snaps, raising her voice and saying she is being forced to go just because he is consumed by CIA work. Robert is shocked. Speaking like that out loud is dangerous. He reminds her that the Russians monitor all houses, especially those under suspicion. He writes her a note warning her never to mention this again because the house is under surveillance, burns it immediately, and leaves. Later that evening, when Twyla arrives at the Christmas party, she goes to stand beside B, the only person she feels comfortable dealing with. Suddenly, Dane approaches them, asking to speak privately. As one of the CIA's top assets, his urgency is alarming. He leads them to the restroom, the safest place to talk. There, he delivers devastating news. Their husbands were on a classified helicopter mission. A minor malfunction occurred. Neither man survived. B stands frozen, unable to process what she is hearing. Twyla, however, focuses on the story itself. It sounds rehearsed, carefully polished for public consumption. She senses the real truth is being hidden. Dane repeats the same explanation, making it clear he cannot tell them anything more. Back home, B breaks down in tears, clinging to her husband's jacket to feel that he is still close to her. Shortly afterward, She and Twyla return to the United States since their presence in Moscow no longer serves any purpose. Twyla visits the place where her mother lives with her partner, only to be shocked to learn that her mother, separated from him months earlier, moved out and never bothered to explain. Bee returns to her family home and stays with her grandmother. Overwhelmed by questions about where to begin again, whether to work, study, or do something else entirely, her grandmother tries to calm her, insisting that rest is all she needs for now. He admits she will never find peace until she uncovers the truth about what happened to her husband. Her grandmother encourages her to pursue it, revealing that she once lived in Russia herself, married there, and lost her husband in a mysterious accident. She spent years wanting answers, but ran out of time. The next day, Bee and Twilight attend a memorial at the intelligence headquarters. Each woman is given a star to honor their husband's sacrifices for their country. What angers them most is the realization that this is all they will ever receive. No further information, no real explanation, just silence. Later that night, they went out together. Suddenly, an idea clicks into place. If they truly want answers, they need to return to Moscow. They decide to confront Dane and ask him to secure any kind of position for them there. Something more meaningful than the symbolic star they were given. D&E explains that there are no ordinary jobs available. The only work in Moscow is intelligence work. Without hesitation, Bee lights up. This is exactly what she wants, a secret role, something that gives her purpose and real value. Twilight backs her immediately, pointing out that as women, no one would ever suspect them of being spies. D&E considers it. The logic makes sense. Soon after, he brings the idea to his superior. Approval is granted, but with one condition. If the operation is exposed, his name must never be mentioned. After all, it would be absurd to admit that the director sent two women to resolve a sensitive intelligence crisis. When Bee returns to her apartment in Moscow, she finds a team already inside, sweeping the place for listening devices and hidden cameras. The next day, Dane takes them to the secure headquarters where they will operate from. He informs Bee that she will return to her old job in the secretarial department. Naturally, Twyla assumes she has been assigned the same role. There is just one problem. She has never worked before and cannot even type. Dane makes it clear they will have to manage for now until he explains the next phase. On Twyla's first day, the situation turns into a disaster. She understands absolutely nothing. Still, she survives by bluffing with confidence. By the end of the day, they meet with D&E and his assistant Ray inside a car. D&E points out a vehicle parked behind them. That car belongs to the KGB, Russian intelligence. He explains how he recognizes their vehicles instantly. Every one of them carries a distinct triangle of dirt intentionally left as a marker. He adds that he is under constant surveillance like this, a consequence of being considered a high V-value target. As for the mission itself, D&E explains that he has spent the past year attempting to recruit an asset named Solar. Solar is prepared to deliver highly sensitive information they desperately need. Bee will handle the contact since she speaks Russian fluently. The password will be simple. She will say, "Looks like it's going to rain today." Solar's reply will be, "Spring is just around the corner." Once confirmed, the exchange will take place. Twyla's role is to observe from a distance. If anything goes wrong, she is to intervene and get them out. Later, Dane steps out of the car with Twilight, behaving casually as if they are heading out to dinner. Out of nowhere, they run into Andrea, a high-ranking Russian intelligence officer. Andrea needles Dane, remarking how sorry he was to hear about the loss of two of his men. D&E plays dumb, responding that he has no idea what Andrea is talking about and that he must have the wrong person. The following day, Twyla takes her husband's radio to the market to sell it on her own. When she opens it to check whether it works, she discovers the wires have been removed and replaced with a device capable of transmitting encoded signals. That's when everything clicks. Soon after, she accompanies Bee to the meeting location with Solar waiting outside while Bee goes in alone. Inside, Bee is visibly nervous. She sits at a table completely unsure of herself. Moments later, a man approaches and casually says, "It's going to rain soon, isn't it?" Confused, Bee blurts out, "Wasn't I supposed to say that line?" She realizes too late that she has over-focused on details and forgotten the basics. She hands him the book she is carrying, explaining that the pages must be torn and soaked in water to reveal the hidden message. At the worst possible moment, Andrea enters the same restaurant. The second he notices B, something about her feels off. He approaches her table. Outside, Twilight spots his car. The dirt triangle is unmistakable. Worse still, there is a winged horse emblem on the door. Trouble is imminent. She begins pounding on the door, trying to warn B. It is already too late. Andrea introduces himself and starts pressing her with questions. Realizing there is no time left, Twyla makes a split-second decision. She pulls out a lighter and tosses it inside. Flames erupt instantly, spreading through the restaurant. In the chaos, B manages to escape without difficulty. Afterward, Twyla is flooded with adrenaline, energized by the action she just pulled off. B, on the other hand, is shaken. She is only now realizing how deep she has dragged herself into this world. Meanwhile, Andrea takes Solar into custody and interrogates him briefly. Who is your friend? What is her name? Why did she leave without you? Solar, already overwhelmed, barely holds himself together. He insists the woman was nothing more than someone he tried to get to know. Her name, he claims, is Nadia. Dane later calls an emergency meeting. Burning down a restaurant to complete a single mission is unacceptable. He orders Ray to bring in a professional from intelligence to properly train them instead of allowing this kind of improvisation to continue. As for Solar, he returns home buzzing with excitement. He fills the bathtub with water, dissolves the paper, reads the message, then crumples the remains and swallows them in one motion. The next day, Twyla's supervisor informs her that he has a friend named George who works for Coca-Cola and is visiting on a business trip. She and B are asked to show him around and make sure he enjoys his stay. He stresses that George is respectable and married just to avoid any misunderstandings. Later, D&E takes both women to meet Mel, who will help B develop into a real field operative. Twyla is confused. Why specifically? She confronts Dane, assuming she is being sidelined because she set the restaurant on fire. D&E reassures her she is not going anywhere. In fact, he is impressed by how quickly she found a solution to save her friend. He explains that if Twyla needs to learn anything, it is how to make people like her. How to be charming, approachable, and emotionally open. After that, Mel takes B on a short drive and points out a building, apartment 415. She is to enter, search the place, and report back. They need to know whether the person living there can be trusted. B hesitates, unsure if this is a test or something more serious. Before she gets out of the car, Mel hands her a gun just in case things go wrong. B heads upstairs, nerves completely shot. The moment she steps into the apartment, she notices a framed photo on the wall. Solar standing beside a woman. Before she can search the place, she hears the front door opening. Panic hits instantly. She hides behind the bedroom door, waits for him to enter the bathroom, then bolts for the balcony. With no other option left, she jumps. Fortunately, Mel planned for this. A large trash container sits directly below, breaking her fall and saving her from serious harm. Back home, B tries every possible way to calm herself down. Suddenly, a landline phone starts ringing. Confused, she searches for it, only to find it hidden inside the closet. What's even stranger is who's on the line. It's Andrea. He admits he's been intrigued by her ever since the restaurant fire. Alarmed, she rushes to end the call before she makes a mistake. Meanwhile, Twilight meets George at the restaurant. Following Dane's advice, she speaks warmly, almost too warmly. She opens up about her husband, explaining that their marriage was happy, that he helped her travel the world and see countless countries. Since his death, she admits she feels lost. Realizing the conversation has turned heavy, she apologizes, reminding him that she was supposed to entertain him, not burden him. Later, B goes straight to D&E's place. She is convinced he planted the landline in her apartment. She also makes it clear she cannot meet Andrea. Her husband has only been dead for days. D&E reminds her this is a covert operation. Emotions have to be pushed aside. That only frustrates her more. This job was never supposed to involve feelings. B then meets Twyla and tells her everything. She seriously considers quitting and returning to the US. Twyla refuses to hear it after everything they've done. Backing out because of fear or tension makes no sense. She reminds B that it was her idea to come back and uncover the truth. Slowly, B regains her resolve and agrees to continue. Soon after, Solar delivers the photos they requested and hides the camera inside the lid of a trash bin located in a public restroom. Naturally, Bea and Twyla retrieve it themselves. Unfortunately, once they hand it over to Dane, the problem becomes obvious. The image quality is terrible. No usable details appear. Dane orders him to meet Solar again, this time at the cemetery, return the camera, and explain the issue. At the same time, George remains at the hotel, scheduled to leave the next day. Out of nowhere, a woman knocks on his door. She introduces herself as Sveta and suggests spending the day together if he's free. He agrees easily, unaware that this is a trap. A hidden camera records everything inside the room. Meanwhile, Bea meets Solar. They sit together, posing as a couple. She slips her hand into his, discreetly passing him the camera. Out of curiosity, he asks her real name, certain that Nadia is only a cover. Bea stays in full spy mode, refusing to share personal information. She instead asks about her husband, wondering if Solar has ever seen him before. Before he can answer, a group of young men walks past. Solar tenses immediately and leaves without another word. After finishing with George, Sveta meets Andrea. He pays her with an envelope stuffed with cash. Without warning, he betrays her. He kills her on the spot and leaves her body in the street. Later that night, Twyla goes out with Bea at her apartment. She confesses her growing suspicion that her husband may have been a double agent working both sides. Suddenly, Andrea calls again. This time, Bea stays calm. She carefully arranges a meeting with him. The next day, George is at the airport when he sees Svea's photo splashed across the newspapers. The article claims she was a sex worker found dead in a public garden. The story doesn't make sense to him. When she was with him, she never asked for money. Disturbed, he calls Twyla and asks her to come to the airport. He tells her everything, convinced something is wrong, and urges her to dig deeper or inform the police that Sveta was with him. Twyla shuts that down immediately. His status and reputation in the US would be destroyed if this became public. She promises to handle it discreetly and keep him out of it. Meanwhile, Bea trains with Mel, rehearsing exactly what she will say to Andrea. Her cover story is simple. She's from a rural area and works as a kindergarten teacher. Mel abruptly throws peanuts at her face, snapping her back to reality. This time, mistakes won't earn peanuts. They'll earn bullets. Her accent is completely wrong for the countryside. Belarus might work better. Under no circumstances should she mention her husband. If Andrea investigates, everything will unravel. As for Andrea himself, Mel explains he is a senior Russian intelligence officer, potentially on track to become party leader. He is married and has a child. When Dini notices how anxious Bea has become, he reassures her. Even if Andrea discovers the truth, he won't kill her. The rules between their agencies would guarantee retaliation against his wife. That single fact calms her more than anything else. Later, Twyla speaks with Ray, convinced he's the only one who might care about Sva's case. He questions why she's involved at all. Twyla explains simply that Sveta was alone, just like her. Anyone could end up in that position. Rhea agrees and promises to look into it. Afterward, Twyla spends the evening with Bea, giving her advice on how to hook Andrea effortlessly, how to make him emotionally attached enough to share secrets. She warns her never to meet him in isolated places. She encourages plenty of praise. Compliments, she insists, are the fastest way into a man's confidence. By the end of the day, Andrea calls to confirm their date. The cinema, 7 o'clock. Bea slips up, blurting out how much she loves that theater and how she practically goes there every day. Andrea is puzzled. He's never seen her there. Realizing her mistake, Bea quickly backpedals, trying to blur the details before she's exposed too soon. The next morning, Twyla wakes up to an early visit from Ray. After digging into Svea's case, he uncovered a disturbing pattern. The same scenario has happened multiple times. Several women were found dead in the streets, then quietly labeled as sex workers so no one would investigate further. Hearing this, Twyla becomes fully invested. She suggests going straight to the source, speaking to people who actually know the truth to confirm whether those women were really living that life or not. She takes Rhea with her too. The market where they meet Wanda, the same vendor who first revealed that her husband's radio was never just a radio. Twyla asks if she knows any of those so-called houses. Wanda refuses to say a word until she gets paid first. Once the sweetener is handed over, she writes down an address. When they arrive, they book a woman inside and show her photos of the victims. To their shock, she recognizes every single one of them. They were all her friends. They all worked the same job. What's unsettling is that every one of them died the same way. Later that day, just before Andrea, D&E shows up with a sudden change of plans. B now has to convince Andrea to take her to his apartment. D&E is certain Andrea keeps a second secret residence where he hides his most sensitive files. He hands her a listening device and instructs her to leave it there. B immediately refuses, taking things that far terrifies her. D&E pushes back, launching into a lecture about commitment, purpose, and why she chose this life in the first place. Eventually, she gives in. At the same time, Twyla is on her way to meet Wanda again when she finds Ree waiting outside her apartment. He's worried about B. He asks Twyla to cancel her plans and follow her friend instead, keeping an eye on the situation. Meanwhile, B sits beside Andrea in the movie theater, fully immersed in her role. Suddenly, a man leans in, whispers something to Andrea, then disappears. B stiffens, her anxiety spiking instantly. Andrea notices and laughs it off, brushing it aside as a joke. After the movie, she gets into his car. He starts moving closer. Uncomfortable, she asks him to take her home. It wouldn't be appropriate, she explains. Her husband passed away recently, and she needs to maintain appearances. Andrea thinks for a moment, then suggests going to her place instead. Panic hits. Thinking fast, B directs him to Solar's apartment, claiming she needs a few minutes upstairs to straighten things up while he waits in the car. The moment Solar opens the door and sees her, confusion floods his face. There's no time to explain. Andrea is already on his way up. B hides Solar on the balcony. With no other option, he jumps. Outside, Twyla is waiting. She quickly reassures him she's with B, knowing he's terrified she might be Russian intelligence. By the time Andrea leaves the building, Twyla has already acted. She secretly plants the listening device inside his car. When they return home, B realizes she accidentally took Solar's framed photo with her, unable to hide it in the chaos. When Twyla sees the picture, she freezes. The woman standing beside Solar is one of the girls whose body was found in the street. The following morning, the two women go out for a run together. Out of nowhere, an older woman watches them from a distance, then approaches. She introduces herself as Vera. She makes it clear she is not Russian intelligence. She asks them to pass the information to D&E and promises to send him a new meeting location. Then she walks away, leaving them confused. They never handed her anything. When they meet D&E, he explains that Vera operates in the gray zone, neither good nor evil. She follows only her own interests. He tells them to check their pockets. She must have planted something on them. Sure enough, B finds a folded piece of paper in her pocket marked with a strange drawing. D&E hands the paper to Twyla, assigning her control of the mission. It's the first time she's officially trusted with responsibility, and it catches her off guard. Ray explains the symbols. One represents Kater, a Russian insider who has provided valuable intelligence before. The sharp object symbolizes the butcher, the only person capable of contacting Vera. The meeting point is set, the voice factory. At 1 o'clock, Twyla is stunned that all of this information came from a single sketch. That night, Andrea shows up drunk at B's apartment. He's stunned when Solar opens the door. Anger flashes across his face. He remembers seeing him with B during the restaurant fire. Solar improvises, claiming he's her partner. They broke up but recently got back together. Meanwhile, Ree welcomes Eva into his home, the new nanny he hired for his son. His wife is instantly uneasy, sensing something off about her presence. Later, B meets Solar to get the full story. She confronts him about lying to Andrea. If Andrea had suspected him even slightly, he would have killed him on the spot. Solar admits he had no choice. Afterward, B goes straight to D&E, clearly shaken. She asks how many people Andrea has already killed. D&E responds bluntly. She should have realized that herself after getting close to him. At the same time, Twyla meets Vera, demanding to know what she really wants. Vera explains that the butcher needs $100,000 to retrieve intelligence from Kater. As for herself, she wants a passport. She's tired. She wants to leave and live a quiet life during the few years she has left. Soon after, Solar leaves work and is ambushed by two men. They beat him and steal his phone. When D&E hears the amount Vera is demanding, he nearly loses it. Securing that kind of money won't be easy. Twyla suggests an alternative, something valuable instead of cash, a luxury watch, an original painting, something that holds real weight. D&E admits the idea has merit, then asks the obvious question, where would they get it? Later that day, Solar meets B. Shaken and paranoid, he's convinced Russian intelligence has exposed him. They won't stop until his life is destroyed. B tries to calm him. If he backs out now, everything they've done will be meaningless. She asks the question that's been haunting her. He didn't do all this for nothing. He did it for the woman in the photograph. Solar finally admits the truth. She was his sister. They killed her. That's why he stepped into this world. That's why he risked everything. B urges him to keep going. This time, he has to see it through. When B returns home, she finds Twyla already escalating the situation. They need to borrow the painting hanging in the ambassador's office and use it as payment for Vera. Since B is an art graduate, she can forge a convincing replica so no one notices the original is missing. Later that day, Danny meets with Andrea. Andrea has been repeatedly threatening him, claiming he possesses a videotape showing D&E with another woman and demanding money in return for keeping it quiet. D&E shuts him down cold. He explains that he is separated from his wife and has no intention of returning to the United States. If Andrea wants to expose him, he's free to do so. It would change nothing. Meanwhile, Twyla meets Vera and takes her to the butcher. They present the painting and Twyla does everything she can to convince him of its value. Eventually, he agrees and takes it. Vera hands over the passport she asked for. Before leaving, Twyla asks if she knows anything about the real reason behind her husband's death. Vera reveals the truth. She was on the same plane as Chris and B's husband. After landing, a group of soldiers intercepted them and killed them both. The reason was simple and devastating. B's husband had been spying for the Russians. Before Vera can finish speaking, she leans back against a railing. It gives way. She falls into the water below and dies instantly. Twyla rushes to B to tell her what happened. She finds her completely broken, collapsing into tears. All this time, B had been clinging to the hope that her husband might still be alive. Twyla holds her, trying to calm her down, choosing not to reveal the truth about him being a spy. She's afraid B would blame her or push her away. When D&E learns of Vera's death, he declares the mission officially closed. That's it. Over. Twyla refuses to accept that. She insists on seeing the truth through to the end. She proposes an alternative, finds someone they trust to impersonate Vera, and continue the plan. B immediately knows there's only one person who can do it, her grandmother. When she asks her, she agrees without hesitation and travels to Moscow at once. She wants to help B uncover the truth. At any cost. After everything is arranged, B begins to panic. If the plan fails, her grandmother could get hurt. She offers her a way out. If she feels scared or rushed into this, she can still walk away. Her grandmother reassures her calmly. She isn't afraid. Being there with her is the right choice. Later, B visits Solar at home. Talking to him has become a source of comfort. She brings him a book as a gift, encouraging him to read and keep moving forward. At the same time, her grandmother stays with Twyla as they prepare for the operation. She confesses that she's hiding a secret from B, terrified of losing her. Her husband was responsible for everything that happened. Twyla advises her simply, if the truth won't change anything, then there's no need to say it. Later that day, B meets Andrea and accompanies him to his usual gambling spot. There, she sits beside a woman named Okana. Okana casually explains that she used to be Andrea's partner. She left him because when he gets angry, he loses control and can easily hurt those around him. She offers help if B ever needs to escape to a quiet place outside the city. She works at a beauty salon. B realizes Okana is fishing for information. She excuses herself and returns to Andrea at the table. Meanwhile, as B's grandmother arrives at her meeting point to receive information, it turns into a trap. She's arrested on the spot. Twyla races to D&E's house, desperate for help. At the same time, one of Andrea's men informs him that Vera has been captured. B freezes. Thinking fast, she convinces Andrea to take her along instead of blowing up the situation too soon. Surprisingly, he agrees. When they arrive, Andrea leaves her outside while he goes in to deal with the woman who has been causing him trouble. B circles the building, searching for a way to see inside. Eventually, she spots a barred window overlooking the office. Her blood runs cold. The woman they arrested is her grandmother. Inside, Andrea quickly realizes this isn't the real Vera. He's met the real one before. He pressures her relentlessly, demanding answers, forcing her to reveal who sent her. Thinking fast, she breaks down in tears. She claims a stranger approached her in the street, offered money, and asked her to pretend to be a woman named Vera. She insists she knows nothing more. Andrea switches to English, testing whether she's American. He continues threatening her, describing prison life in brutal detail. No food, no water, endless psychological and physical suffering. Despite her terror, she pretends not to understand. Eventually, he orders his men to throw her into a holding cell until she can be transferred to the main prison. Outside, B rushes to Andrea's car and sends a coded message through the listening device they planted earlier, transmitting the exact location. D&E responds immediately. He intercepts the transport vehicle, jumps onto it, forces open the back, and rescues her grandmother just in time. By the end of the day, B is completely overwhelmed. She tries to sleep, desperate for rest. Suddenly, she finds a Vidape hidden beneath her pillow. Confused, she plays it. The footage shatters her. It's her husband with another woman. Elsewhere, Ree is playing with his son when he notices a recording microphone among the child's toys. Panic sets in. He takes it straight to D&E. The conclusion is unavoidable. There is a spy among them. Later, Andrea calls B, furious. How dare she leave without explaining herself? She snaps back, accusing him of lying after she overheard him speaking with the woman in the room. Andrea explodes. How could she interfere in his business? Then he drops a chilling line. I know who you really are. He hangs up. The next day, D&E and Ray search the house for surveillance devices. By sheer coincidence, they discover something even more disturbing. Inside the fireplace, there's a hidden ladder leading to a secret passage. It becomes clear that there are many things D&E never knew about his own home. After that, B goes to D&E's office, demanding answers. About the videotape, she's shattered, unable to understand how her husband could betray her like that. D&E explains calmly that it had nothing to do with infidelity. In fact, he was the one who asked him to do it. They needed the Russians to have leverage on him, something tangible that would convince them he was truly on their side and would never turn against them. Meanwhile, Solar wakes up to a group of men arriving at his apartment. He's convinced this is the end, that his time has finally run out. Instead, they escort him to a hotel where surveillance cameras were installed a year earlier. A minor technical issue needs fixing, and that's why they brought him in. At the same time, Twyla finds B locked in the bathroom, crying uncontrollably. She follows her inside, trying to calm her down and understand what's going on. When B tells her about the video, Twilight shrugs it off. In her eyes, he did it for his country. Then she drops a bombshell. She's been hiding something. Her husband was responsible for B's husband's death. B completely loses it. How could she hide something so critical? The argument explodes. B lashes out, accusing Twyla of treating betrayal like it's nothing. Twyla is deeply hurt. She truly believed they were friends. Later, B meets Solar again. He tells her about the cameras in the hotel. They only install setups like that when they plan to record important people, gathering leverage for blackmail. That snaps B back into focus. Whatever she's feeling, the mission has to come first. Soon after, B goes to Andrea's place, claiming she has urgent work to discuss. She apologizes for her behavior last time, explaining that she panicked because the woman reminded her of her late grandmother. Andrea seems satisfied. Meanwhile, Twyla teams up with Ray. They pretend to be spending the night at the hotel, giving them cover to plant a tracking device inside the surveillance cameras. They need to know exactly where those tapes are being sent and how they're being used. At the same time, B welcomes Andrea into Solar's apartment, secretly setting up a camera of her own to gain leverage on him, just like he does to everyone else. When D&E arrives at his office and finds a videotape waiting for him, panic sets in. He's certain it contains something disastrous. He immediately calls his therapist to schedule an emergency session. Ironically, one thing finally goes right. Ray locates the camera hidden inside a tissue box. He swaps the tape with one of his own. Later, D&E sits alone, gripping a gun, dark thoughts flooding his mind. He considers ending it all. Suddenly, B and Twyla knock on his door. They need to talk. The moment passes. B tells him that Andrea slipped up during their conversation. He's been blackmailing everyone around him, even people inside Russian intelligence, all to climb the ranks faster. D&E instructs her to get even closer to him. It's the only way to uncover everything. After that, B and Twyla park outside the hotel, preparing to tail the vehicle, transporting the videotapes to its hidden destination. Alone with Twyla, Bee takes the chance to apologize for what she said earlier. She lost control and unloaded everything she was feeling onto her. Suddenly, ambulances pull away from the hotel. They immediately realize this is it. Back home, Ray's wife returns to find the nanny dressed up and ready to leave. She explains that Ree booked her a ticket to a concert. Furious, his wife demands that the ticket be taken back. She's going with him instead. Ray gives in, desperate to avoid another argument. As Bee and Twyla follow the ambulance, it stops. Andrea steps out and joins his wife, handing her an unmarked box. Bee suggests a split. Twyla will follow the wife. Bee will stay with the ambulance. Bee soon spots Andrea heading to Solar's building. He enters the elevator. She races up the stairs at reaching the floor ahead of him, hiding nearby. She watches in shock as he plants a listening device inside a lamp. He's suspicious of her. Meanwhile, Ray's wife confronts him again, demanding he cancel the ticket for the nanny. She's going instead. Ray agrees, wanting peace more than anything. At the same time, Twyla watches Andrea's wife drop their daughter off at daycare, then return home. Thinking fast, Twyla picks up the child unnoticed and follows her. When the door opens, Twyla improvises. She claims she saw the little girl crawling near traffic and that kind strangers directed her to the address. She asks for a drink. While the woman is in the kitchen, Twyla grabs the box Andrea gave her and leaves. Inside, she finds nothing but a bottle of shampoo. Elsewhere, Bee reaches the facility where the tapes are stored. She sneaks inside, desperate to see what's really happening. What she discovers terrifies her. Someone higher than Andrea is running everything. Worse, this person has footage of Andrea himself murdering women in the street. The scale of it all is far beyond anything she imagined. Later, Bee returns to Solar's apartment and stages a loud argument. While he stands confused, she slips him a note warning him about the listening device hidden in the lamp. They take the argument outside to the balcony where they can finally speak freely. She tells him she's uncovered nearly everything. If he wants out, he can walk away. Solar admits the truth. His problem isn't the mission anymore. It's her. He's fallen for her. That evening, Ree arrives at the concert with his wife only to find her still angry. Despite everything he's done to please her, she explodes. She reminds him she left her country and her career to follow him here. Then she storms off, leaving him alone. At the same time, the nanny takes advantage of the empty house and begins searching through the bedrooms. When Ray's wife comes home and catches her rummaging through the drawers, she raises her gun and shoots her without hesitation. She's convinced the nanny is a spy. Shortly after, Twyla takes Bee with her to the gala as well. Since it's an official embassy event, the moment Twyla spots Bee from across the room, she rushes toward her with pure relief, almost laughing in disbelief. "You're actually still alive." Before Bee can explain what happened, the ambassador approaches them. There's been a mix-up and he asks them to help host the event. They're expected to greet every guest given their importance. What they didn't expect is Andrea being one of those guests. The second he sees Bee, he stops cold. "So, you're American," he says. "You fooled me this whole time." Twyla grabs Bee's hand and they take off running. Andrea follows relentlessly. Every time they try to hide, he appears again as if he's coming out of the ground beneath them. Eventually, Bee stumbles. Andrea catches her, gripping her by the neck. He swears he won't let her go alive. Twyla can't overpower him. At the last second, Man arrives and smashes Andrea over the head with a baton. He collapses unconscious. When the police arrive at Ray's house, his wife hands them a device. She explains that it's a piece of classified technology she found with the nanny, which is why she killed her. She couldn't risk anyone discovering it. The officers take the device and transfer it to CIA headquarters for further examination. After that, Bee rushes to Solar's place to get him out. It's the first location Andre would search. On the way, she remembers Oksana, who once offered her a hiding place in a rural house. She goes straight to Oksana's salon and takes the key. While they're driving, Solar drops another bombshell. Bee's husband had a relationship with his sister. He had even met him once. The information hits Bee all at once. Too many pieces collide, and it becomes clear that something crucial is still missing from the picture. When Ray finally reaches the station to pick up his wife, she's completely had enough. Being dragged into all of this because of the nature of his job has pushed her to the edge. Ray tries to calm her down, promising that nothing like this will ever happen again. He assures her he'll pull her out of the case quietly and for good. As soon as they arrive at the countryside house, Twilight feels something is off. She starts exploring the place room by room until she stumbles upon a hidden space stacked with boxes of shampoo. The exact same brand Andrea's wife had. Certain there's more to it, she calls B and Solar over. When they open the boxes, the truth is revealed. Inside are videotapes, the same ones Andrea uses to blackmail people inside the agency. B freezes. Why would he hide something like this in a stranger's house? The answer becomes painfully clear. This isn't a random place. The house belongs to Andrea. Oksana lied to her, setting her up from the start. They load the boxes into the car, preparing to leave. Suddenly, one of Andrea's men attacks. They manage to overpower him, but then Oksana herself appears. In a split second, she stabs Solar with a sharp object. Seeing him go down, B completely loses control. She grabs whatever is within reach and strikes Oksana in the face, killing her on the spot. They rush Solar into the car, desperate to get him to the hospital. Without warning, Andrea's vehicle appears behind them. Twilight swerves sharply, trying to shake him off. The maneuver backfires. The car flips violently. Moments later, a group of American officers arrives. They take Solar and rush him to the hospital. As for Twilight and B, they drag Andrea, still unconscious, into the trunk and drive him straight to their secret office. When Andrea finally wakes up, he finds himself tied to a chair. Twilight and B stand in front of him, silent and focused. This isn't going to be a long interrogation. At that point, B looks straight at Andrea and asks the question that's been haunting her. Who killed Chris? Vera claimed that Robert was the spy, the one responsible for everything. Andrea lets out a bitter laugh. Half of that information is true, he says, but it's twisted. All Vera ever knew was that the spy was American and that his wife had light-colored eyes. That means the real spy was Chris B's husband. As for Solar's sister, it wasn't the Russians who killed her. It was the Americans. Then they staged the murder to make it look like a Russian operation. At the same time, Ray's wife goes to the hospital to visit the nanny. Suddenly, she pulls out a syringe and injects it into the floor, killing her instantly. The truth finally comes out. She is the Russian spy. Not only that, she's been cheating on Ray with another man, and she's the one who planted the listening device inside the house. Meanwhile, the device she handed over to the police, supposedly for safekeeping, detonates inside the CIA office. The explosion ignites a fire, destroying every piece of evidence stored there. When Denny returns home with B's grandmother, he freezes in shock. Standing right in front of him, alive and breathing, is Chris, B's husband. Back at the secret office, B and the others are still in the middle of interrogating Andrea when they notice smoke seeping through the doorway. They rush outside to find the entire building engulfed in flames. Russian intelligence has already arrived, gathering every file they can get their hands on. Then, Andrea steps out himself, calm and almost amused. Did you really think this was the end? B tightens her grip on Twilight's hand. Whatever happens next, they won't face it alone. Thank you for watching to the end. Please remember to click the subscribe button and make sure you like this video and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Thank you.